What up, folks? Danny V here, aka The Butch, coming at you live in color from Down the Road Motors, Hot Rods Forever. And today we're gonna do a little something different. We're gonna show you how to replace your taillight in a 2016 Ford Transit Connect. Now you can, this applies to any 2014 through 2018 Ford Transit or Ford Transit Connect. Today we're going to be changing the driver's side rear tail light. As you can see, there is some damage to it. It wasn't me, but I am going to fix it. So first thing you want to do is order a tail light for it. You can find these at your local Ford dealer or online. You can try checking your local auto parts. I'd recommend trying to check out NAPA Auto Parts. If not, you can probably find one of these on Amazon. Looks like it's the same. Quick little comparison. I've had one of these out before because I have to change the bulbs. Now this video does apply to changing bulbs as well. So if you need to change any bulbs in your rear taillights, driver or passenger side, it's basically going to be the same process. So you can go ahead and follow these instructions to do that. What you're going to need, I'm going to use my DeWalt 3/8 impact. We got from NAPA Auto Parts, Ventura County Auto Supply. If you don't have an impact, that's okay. You can use a regular ratchet, whatever ratchet's going to fit your Torx bit socket. So mine happens to be a 3/8, and the size you need is a T25, which is right here. That's what it looks like, Torx. See that? Okay, so what we're gonna do is, first things first, open the rear barn doors. And after opening your rear barn doors, depending on what side you're gonna go ahead and replace, in our case, it is the driver's side, which is the left side. If you're gonna be replacing the passenger side, it'll be over here, which is the right side. Okay, so you always wanna confirm that this T25 Torx bit is gonna fit inside of that Torx head screw. So go ahead and place it in there like so. Give it a little wiggle, make sure it's nice and tight, make sure there's not a bunch of play. You don't want this socket, this Torx socket, spinning freely in this. If it is, you either have the wrong size Torx bit socket, or the head of the Torx bit screw is stripped, or it's been elongated or damaged. So you're gonna have to address that if that is the case for you. So we have one Torx bit screw here holding on the taillight on a 2016 Ford Transit Connect. And we have one down here at the bottom, right there inside that notch, right where my index finger is, right in there. So as you can see, Torx bit screw. There are two, and they need to be replaced. I'm gonna get a light just so I can show you a little bit better. So there's no discrepancies here. Torx bit screw number one, right there. Torx bit screw number two, right there. Okay, right in there. Here's the ratchet, just as an example. You want it going to the left, take it off. Remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. In most case scenarios here, when you're removing bolts, screws, and nuts, unless they happen to be reverse thread, which you will find every once in a while on some items, some vehicles and some things, but not in this case. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here. Okay, not really tight, which is good. You're gonna go ahead and remove those Torx head screws, the T25 screws. And remember, folks, you could pick up your handy Carlisle tools at any NAPA Auto Parts. My personal favorites are Ventura County Auto Supply, NAPA stores in Camarillo, Oxnard, or Ventura, California. These are Southern California stores, but please support your local NAPA Auto Parts. In my case, I'm going to use a 10-inch extension to remove the Torx head screw with the impact, just to make the process a little quicker instead of using a regular hand ratchet, but by all means, you could totally use a hand ratchet. And here we are moving on down to our second Torx head bolt. Again, the wall impact, 3/8 to 1/4 inch step down in my case, and 10-inch 1/4 inch extension, and the T25 Torx bit socket on the screw. It is out, just like that. Voila! And once you have removed your 2 Torx head screws here top on number 1 and number 2 down here on the bottom, once they are removed, go ahead and shut this driver's side left barn door, and you can go ahead and remove the tail light. A lot easier. In my case, this one is broken, so use my fingers here to pry it out a little bit. Give it a little jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Okay. After a little finesse and a little Fonzie hit, bam. Your driver's side rear tail light on all of your 2014 to 2018 Ford Transit Connects will be removable. Okay, so as you can see, that's where the number 1 Torx head screw was, and that's the second Torx head screw there. But there is also these here that go into these holes. So these are basically stationary pins. They help hold the tail light in place. You don't have to worry about unscrewing them or anything. They just easily slide in and out of these holes. No problemo. Now you're gonna wanna turn this around and remove your light bulb sockets. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And you're simply gonna do that by twisting it counterclockwise. You just put your index finger and your thumb on the socket, give it a nice little twist, counterclockwise to the left again, twist it to the left. Once it twists to the left, it should pull out. Like so. It did pull out. There's your tail light brake light bulb. Make sure not to lose your little rubber gasket for the socket. As you can see, the socket does have notches in it here and here and over here, and they basically go right into the back of the tail light, and that hole is notched, as you can see. We're going to go ahead and repeat that process on bulb socket 2, 3, and 4. So, twist to the left. Twist to the left. It should go ahead and pop right out like so, which it is. I'm going to go ahead and do that down here. Twist to the left. Out she goes. One more time, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bam, wham-a-lam. Just like so, all the taillight sockets are out. Now, let me show you something. The taillight sockets have wires, and the wires are basically just cradled into that little notch, that little one there, and the one right there. Don't forget to gear up with any supplies you need from NAPA. I personally love these microfiber 25 value pack. It's a great deal at NAPA Auto Parts, okay? They're a large size, they're 12 by 16. I'm just gonna use a nice microfiber towel here to basically just clean this area. As you can see, it's dusty, it's dirty. So we're just gonna go ahead and give that a quick wipe because we care here at Down the Road Motors. Hot rods forever. Once you are done giving that area a quick wipe, now you're ready to install your taillight. So let's go ahead and do that. You're gonna wanna remove the protective film that's on your new taillight if it does have it. Just go ahead and do that. After removing it out of the box and the bubble wrap, go ahead and take this off. Slides right off. And when it comes to putting the taillights and their sockets back on, which are all right here, you're just going to reverse the process. Very simple. back from top to bottom. You're gonna put the first one in there, second one in there, third one in there, and your fourth one down in there. Now, if you like, oh no, I don't remember what order they go in, it's no problem. Come to the other side, and you can get a quick little reference just by checking out your tail light, just by looking through your tail light on the passenger side. Just like so. So you know the top light is a clear bulb. The second one's gonna be an amber orange bulb. Third one's gonna be a small clear bulb. And the fourth one is gonna be even smaller, all the way at the bottom, clear bulb. So don't worry about, I mean, you obviously always wanna try and remember what order you took them off. If you have to label them with tape, go ahead and do that. You can use masking tape, or if you're just good enough to where you can remember, like me, then just go ahead and reinstall them. After you reverse that process of putting all your bulbs and sockets back in, after making sure that they all do work, and before assembling your tail light, make sure you put the wire all back in its little place there. It's number one, that wire goes in there, that wire goes in there. You just follow it down basically. It's pretty, just follow the form of the wire of how it was before, and it'll just basically pop right back in its place inside those little slots. And then you're gonna wanna go ahead and align your pins here with the holes. Top one is in. You're gonna wanna go ahead and do the same thing with the bottom, which it is in. So top and bottom pins are in, right? Carefully put some minor pressure on it, make sure it's flat, make sure it's in, make sure it's sitting flush, there's no gaps. And now you're ready to put your Torx head screws back in. Remember those two that we removed earlier, just to take that thing out? Pretty simple process, folks. Not very time consuming. I would say I did this, if I didn't have to make a video, I could do this in literally less than 5 minutes. Here we go. We're going to put the number one Torx head screw back in its home there. I personally like to use my Carlisle ratchet that I purchased from NAPA Auto Parts to go ahead and get these screws started. I do not like using an impact just to get them started. I start them by hand, actually. I try and carefully start them by hand. If you can't get in there with your fingers, if it's a tight spot, you can carefully start it with the ratchet, the extension, and your Torx bit socket. Just make sure you're going in straight, make sure everything looks flush. Don't tighten it all the way down. You just want to start the first one. And then you want to go ahead and move down to the second one and do the same thing, folks. Go ahead and put the Torx head screw back in the hole. Get it started and follow it with your trusty Carlisle ratchet. And another thing you can do to start it by hand is take your extension off your ratchet. In my case, it's my trusty Carlisle ratchet. If you don't have a trusty Carlisle ratchet, you could just take it off your regular ratchet. That's not so special. And after you got both your Torx head screws started top and down here at the bottom, you can go ahead and start tightening it with your ratchet now. This extension has a wobbly head on it, that's why it's moving so much, but it's nice because it is a tight slot, so it's got some give in it, so that's why I'm using it. You just want to make sure and apply some pressure to that Torx bit socket, that way it's in that Torx head screw nice and tight and you're not stripping it as you're tightening it. And you don't have to tighten this thing like a gorilla either, folks, all right? You just want to go snug on the top, you want to go snug on the bottom, and then you can just double check them after that. Basically, I'm not going to give you a torque spec, I'm going to give you a better spec. You want to tighten these two Torx head screws down half a turn before they break off, okay? Half a turn before they break off. After tightening the two Torx head screws down, you want to go ahead and come out here, make sure everything looks good out here, everything still looks aligned, nothing looks out of place. which everything looks good. You want to carefully shut your barn door. Carefully is the key word, just in case it's not. You want to make sure it's not rubbing on this, because if you shut your door quickly on this, you could possibly break or shatter it. So you do not want to do that. You want to carefully test, open all the way, nice gap, everything looks good, and then you want to go ahead and shut it carefully. And we look good. Everything looks good here. We're not rubbing, there's no funny business going on here. So there you have it, folks. That's how you install a rear tail light on a 2014 to 2016 Ford Transit Connect. Same thing goes for the passenger side. So if you have to do that, it's no problem. Just do the same thing on this side. Now you want to go ahead and make sure and test all your lights, make sure they all work, which we will go ahead and do shortly. And you're going to go ahead and come inside your Ford Transit Connect, put your key in the ignition, turn it to the on position. You don't have to start it, you can if you'd like. Come to your headlight switch, make sure it's all the way to the right, and go ahead and check your existing bulbs that are on. If you don't have somebody here to help assist by pushing the brake pedal to test your brake lights on your Ford Transit Connect or any vehicle, you could take a 2x4, you could take a piece of metal, piece of steel, basically in my case just a piece of steel. It fits perfectly in between when you press this brake pedal down and right up against the seat there. Just want to be careful. If there's sharp edges, you don't want to rip your seat. So you might be better off using a piece of wood. I was very careful. I rounded the edges off a little bit on these, filed them down, so everything is good to go. Thank you, folks. Houston, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. We have one bulb out of 4 on. The other side seems to be working just fine. And we have brake lights. I was just kidding with you, folks. Lights are working, the turn signals worked. I already tested those. You could test all the lights by yourself. There's a few ways you could do it. Even your reverse lights you could test by yourself. You want to make sure you're on a flat or level surface, preferably, and put your e-brake on, make sure it's nice and tight. Put it in reverse. Before you do that, put some tire chocks behind the rear wheels, or even a block of wood, something to keep it from rolling back. Theoretically, it is nicer to have somebody with you to check the reverse light bulbs, but as long as your e-brake's on all the way and the car's not going to go anywhere with tire chocks or wood under the tires, then you should be safe. But don't try this at home without adult supervision, folks. Okay, so all the lights work. I tested them. We do have left turn signals, right turn signals, reverse lights work, brake lights work, tail lights work. Everything is good to go here, folks. If you do not have lights and they worked before, you probably didn't. The bulb may have not been pushed in all the way. The bulb may have possibly burned out in the process of removing it, but highly unlikely, but it could happen. Other than that, make sure your socket's in all the way nice and tight. Make sure the wiring doesn't get cut or anything like that in the process. Make sure you don't smash any of the wiring while reassembling your taillight here. And hope you all have a wonderful night here from Down the Road Motors, Hot Rods Forever. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to Down the Road Motors, Hot Rods Forever. I surely do appreciate it. Any questions, comments, or complaints, please let me know. If you want me to speed it up, too bad. It's going to be the Rowdy 57, aka Papa Smurf. Speed it up in that.